You've done this before. I know you have. Hours deep into self-help videos, one autoplay after another, the video ends. And then you do nothing. Same desk, same excuses, same version of you, just hours older and no different. Last week alone, maybe you watched a focus fix, a dopamine detox breakdown, a video on discipline. 3 problems, 3 creators, same result, 0. Here's what should bother you. The more of these you watch, the more capable you feel, the less you actually become. So you tell yourself, I'll actually start tomorrow. You mean it too in the moment, then you lock your phone and somehow TikTok's already open. Not because you're weak, because your brain just got its reward already. Why would it push for more? That's not growth. That's brain rot, wearing a nicer outfit. And for this whole video, I want you picturing one image, a treadmill, legs pumping, heart pounding, sweat dripping, and you haven't moved 1 single inch. Real talk, I'm not judging you here. I make videos exactly like the ones you binge. And yeah, I watch plenty of them myself. So here's the partial payoff right now. Watching about change and actually creating change aren't cousins, they're strangers who've never met. And if you're serious about closing that gap, subscribe now, fellas. This is the stuff nobody hands you at family dinner. For years, I told myself the same lie. If I watched enough of these videos, understood enough frameworks, absorbed enough advice, that counted as improvement. I felt sharper after every single one. Smarter, more aware, further along than the version of me from a month before. Except nothing in my actual life had moved. Not my body, not my bank account, not one relationship. I'd just gotten really good at feeling informed. I want to unpack the real reason your life still looks exactly the same, even though it feels like you've been putting in work on yourself for months. It's not laziness. It's not a discipline problem. Not really. There's a specific trap hiding underneath all of this, and once you see it, you can't unsee it in your own habits. It feels like progress. It is not progress. It's avoidance wearing a productivity hoodie. I've got a buddy, let's call him Derek, who's been working on himself for 3 straight years. New morning routine, every few months, new book, new framework, same job, same apartment, same guy. Derek isn't lazy, he's just addicted to the feeling of almost. This next part is genuinely uncomfortable, so brace yourself. You'd think consuming more self-help content would put you closer to the person you want to be. Actually, it does the opposite. It manufactures the illusion of change so convincingly that your brain stops pushing for the real thing. The content isn't neutral. It's designed to feel like doing. Take something as simple as a 20-minute video on how to study better. You watch the whole thing, nodding along, taking mental notes. And somewhere in your skull, your brain hands you a gold star, a fake one. It genuinely believes you accomplished something. Not because you studied, because you watched someone else describe studying, and apparently that's close enough. Notice what didn't happen in that 20 minutes. No pages written. No practice problems solved. No flashcards flipped. 0 homework got completed. You just sat there while a stranger on your screen talked about doing homework, and somehow that filled the same tank in your brain that actual effort would have filled. That's the whole scam in one sentence. Your brain isn't malicious here, just lazy about the difference. Watching and doing light up similar reward circuits so your brain shrugs and calls it close enough. That's the treadmill again. Legs moving, sweat dripping, the readout climbing, and you're standing in the exact same spot you started in 20 minutes ago. There's actually a clinical term for exactly what's happening to you. And once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear it either. Psychologists call it the intention-action gap. It's the space between deciding to do something and actually doing it. And for most people, that space never closes. It just gets more comfortable to live inside. That gap is dangerous for a specific reason. Your intention feels completely real inside your head. You can picture yourself doing the work. You can feel the discipline. So your brain rewards you as if you actually acted on it, releasing the same little hit of satisfaction, whether you did the thing or just imagined doing it. This is why some guys can watch 200 hours of self-help content and still feel completely broken underneath. I've had messages from viewers exactly like that. 200 hours logged, notebooks full of quotes, and their actual life untouched. Their brain is high on ideas. Meanwhile, the part of them that needs real evidence, real results, is quietly starving. Underneath all of it sits one mechanism. No neural wiring happens unless you actually take action. None. Your brain doesn't rebuild itself from information alone, only from repeated physical doing, which means you can stay on that treadmill for years, hit every incline, break a real sweat, and never once arrive anywhere new. Watch. Feel inspired. Do nothing. Repeat next week. That's the entire cycle, and Derek's been running it on loop for 3 years now. Right on schedule, like clockwork. And look, if you recognize yourself in Derek, even a little, don't panic yet, because in a second I'm gonna show you exactly how I try to help him break it. So this is what I actually built in response, not just for Derek, for anyone stuck in that same watch, feel, nothing loop, including past versions of me. A tool. Nothing fancy, nothing that requires a course or a payment plan. Just something designed to interrupt the cycle the second you feel that fake gold star showing up. It's a Notion system, and I called it the Reset Hub. Not because it's clever branding, because that's literally what it does. It resets you back to zero every single morning, strips away the noise, and hands you one page to look at instead of 40 tabs, 6 apps, and a queue of videos promising to finally fix you. I deliberately didn't build some overkill dashboard with 12 color-coded widgets and a habit tracker shaped like a garden. That stuff looks beautiful in a screenshot and gets abandoned in 4 days flat. This is one clean page. No fluff, no aesthetic distractions, pretending to be productivity. Just the next right action, sitting there waiting for you. What I actually think is going on with most of you isn't the story you tell yourself at 2 in the morning. It's not that you don't care. It's not that you're secretly lazy or broken somehow. Your days are just scattered into 40 directions at once. And scattered people don't need more motivation. They need one single place to land. Say that back to yourself for a second. You don't need more advice. You've got enough advice stored up to coach an entire gym. What you're actually missing is somewhere to land every morning before the scrolling starts, before the excuses show up, dressed as logic. That's the whole function of this thing. A landing spot, not another lecture. And to be clear, this costs you nothing. It's completely free, no catch buried in the fine print, no upsell waiting for you 3 clicks later. First link in the description. Right under this video. Right now. If today's the day you actually want to break the loop instead of just watching another video about breaking it, go grab it. But I need you to understand something bigger than any single tool I could ever hand you. The actual goal here isn't the Reset Hub, isn't any app, isn't any system. It's rewiring how you chase self-improvement in the first place. Because right now, most of you are chasing the feeling of getting better, not the actual thing. So let's get into it. In a second, I'm going to walk you through 3 specific traps, not vague concepts, actual mechanisms that keep people stuck in this exact cycle for years, sometimes decades. Smart people. Disciplined people, people who read every book and still can't explain why nothing in their life has actually moved. Trap number 1, becoming addicted to learning itself. Not learning as a tool, learning as the whole identity, the whole point. You start collecting courses and frameworks, like trophies, and at some stage, gathering the information quietly replaces the reason you wanted it in the first place. You forget you were ever trying to change anything at all. You think you're collecting wisdom. You're actually collecting coping mechanisms dressed up in nicer language. Every video feels safe because it stays purely theoretical. Nobody's grading you, nobody's rejecting you, nobody's watching you fail in real time. Real life doesn't offer that same safety, so you keep circling back to the version where you're just learning forever. Videos feel safe. Real life never does. It's unpredictable. It can reject you. It can embarrass you in front of people you actually know. And look, if you've made it this far into a video about why videos don't work, you're probably not who this list is trying to save. You're already trying. That's rare. Keep going. This is exactly where Derek lives, by the way. Watching someone else make the cold call instead of dialing it himself. He's watched dozens of videos on outbound sales. Hasn't made a single call. Every week, he doesn't dial. He's a client he doesn't land. A year he doesn't get back. A version of his career that just quietly stops compounding. Same story at the gym. Derek spent 6 months rewriting his workout program, adjusting his split, researching optimal rep ranges, tweaking macros in a spreadsheet nobody asked him to build. 6 months of programming, 0 pounds actually lifted. Meanwhile, the guy next to him just picked a decent plan and started, and is unrecognizable now. That's the pattern underneath both stories. You keep simulating the fight, running the scenario in your head 100 different ways, and you never actually step onto the field where it counts. Simulation feels productive. It feels like preparation. But a simulated rep never built a single real muscle, and a simulated call never closed a single real deal. Here's the cruelest part of Trap 1. You're never actually going to feel ready. That feeling doesn't arrive on a schedule. So the longer you spend preparing for it, the harder it gets to ever move at all. You're still on that treadmill, just cranking the incline higher, congratulating yourself on a tougher walk to nowhere. Turns out, this whole pattern has a name too, analysis paralysis. And here's the thing about Trap 1. Once you know what it looks like, you can catch yourself in the act pretty fast. But don't get comfortable yet. What's coming next is worse, and it cost me a real chunk of my own 20s. Trap number 2 is the one that stalls out even smart, disciplined people for years, sometimes for good. It doesn't look like laziness from the outside. These are guys who wake up early, who read, who show up to the gym, and yet something underneath keeps them exactly where they are, no matter how hard they grind on the surface, what it actually is. Some people get addicted to the idea of healing itself, not the healing. They fall in love with being someone who's on a journey, someone who's working through it, someone who's aware. That identity feels good to wear. The problem is, wearing it and actually shedding what you're healing from turn out to be two very different projects. Derek does this one too, if I'm being honest. His feed is half self-love quotes and grind mindset graphics, posted like clockwork every few days. Ask him what's actually changed in his relationships, his savings, his health, and he goes quiet. The posting isn't fake, exactly. It's just easier than the thing the posting is supposed to be about. Staying in the process, that phrase does a lot of quiet work. As long as you're in the process, you get to keep the identity without ever delivering the result. Nobody can call you a failure if you're technically still healing. It's a permanent excuse with a therapeutic sounding name, and it hands you a comforting identity that never actually asks anything of you. Now look, I'll give you this much. Wanting people to see you as someone doing the work, someone becoming better, that's not fake, that's just human. It earns you sympathy. It makes you feel like you're becoming somebody instead of standing still. I'm not mocking that need. But here's the part that actually matters. That feeling was never supposed to be the finish line. You'd think actually getting better would feel like relief. It doesn't. Not at first. It feels like loss. Because if you genuinely healed, you'd lose the story, the sympathy, the identity you built your whole personality around for years. Staying broken weirdly is the safe option. Getting better is the terrifying one. And that's exactly backwards from what everyone assumes. Real growth means outgrowing the exact self you built to survive whatever you went through. That version of you kept you alive once. It deserves some respect, not shame. But it can't be the final draft forever. Stepping off that treadmill for good means leaving behind the guy who needed it, not just walking a little faster on the same belt. And because that shift is so hard to make alone, there's actually a framework that helps people escape this exact trap. I'll walk you through it in a second. But if Trap 2 just describes somebody you know, or honestly described you, that's exactly why I want you subscribed right now, fellas, before we go any further into this list. Trap 3 is the one almost nobody thinks they're guilty of, which is exactly what makes it the most dangerous of the three. It doesn't sound like avoidance when you say it out loud. It actually sounds responsible, even smart, and that's what makes it so easy to hide inside for years without ever noticing you're hiding at all. Jake used to say it every single year. Once things calm down, I'll start. Once the semester ends, once the promotion lands, once the relationship stops being complicated. It sounds responsible, not lazy. And that's exactly why the excuse works so well on smart people. But you think you're being patient. Actually, you're just scheduling your own delay, one calm season at a time. But that calmer, more settled moment never actually shows up. Life doesn't pause, so you can catch your breath. It just adds a new complication the second the old one clears. Jake waited 4 years for calm, missed workouts, skipped applications, a relationship left to drift while he waited for the right time. Calm was never on the schedule. So what was Jake actually waiting for if calm was never coming? Turns out, feeling ready. And you think that's caution. It's not. It's fear wearing a nicer outfit. Readiness doesn't show up on command. It shows up after you've already started, never before. He told me once he was waiting to feel like a disciplined person before he acted disciplined. Backwards, every time. So here's the only way out. You start before it feels safe. Every single time. Remember the garage I told you to picture? The garage doesn't care if you feel ready. It only cares if the light's on and you're standing in it with your hands moving. Fear doesn't leave before you act. It leaves because you acted. That order never reverses. For anybody, ever. Once you accept that order, a new trap shows up fast. Trying to fix everything at once. New diet, new sleep schedule, new identity, all starting Monday. That's not ambition, that's a setup for quitting by Thursday. The guys who actually change pick one thing and hammer it until it's automatic. Everyone else burns out in a week and blames bad timing. Here's Jake applying that exact principle. He stopped binge watching 4-hour morning routine videos from guys with 6 houses. He just started waking up 15 minutes earlier. That's it. No cold plunge, no journaling ritual, no 17-step checklist. 15 minutes. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't shareable, but it was the first promise to himself he'd actually kept in 3 years. He also dropped the whole rebuild my identity from scratch project. The vision boards, the 4 in the morning alarms, the new personality he swore he'd have by spring. Instead, he just practiced getting out of bed a little faster each morning. 90 seconds instead of 10 minutes of doom scrolling first. You think identity change is the goal. Actually, identity change is just a byproduct of 100 boring mornings like that one, stacked quietly. But there was one more piece to those mornings nobody would guess. Every day, before his feet even hit the floor, Jake says one short prayer. Not a paragraph, not a ritual, just a handful of words. Guide me through today. That's the whole thing. It isn't about religion for him specifically. It's about starting the day already pointed somewhere, instead of just reacting to whatever hits his phone first. You don't have to be religious for this to land. Whether you pray, meditate, or just talk to the ceiling for 10 seconds, saying guide me through today out loud reminds you that you're not steering this thing alone. If even one thing on this list hit home tonight, do me a favor and smash that like button. It's the only reason videos like this keep getting made instead of more recycled fluff. If a like button feels too small, a commitment, here's a bigger one. I built a free Discord for exactly this, a place full of guys doing the same rebuild you are at every stage of it. And tell me down in the comments right now, which number on this list are you actually starting tonight, not tomorrow, not when things calm down tonight. I read every single one, and if you want to go even deeper, YouTube members get early access to every upload, plus stuff I don't put out publicly, unreleased videos, some of them years old, that I honestly never thought I'd show anyone. But the free move that actually matters most is simple. Subscribe and join the crew, fellas. I do this every single week. Your 30-year-old self will thank you for it. But underneath all of that, here's the actual fix, the one beneath everything else on this list. Stop being a fan of your own growth and start being the guy who acts on it. Remember the garage from the top of this video? It was never about watching someone else build. It's about walking in, turning the light on, and picking up the tool, because nobody drives the car they wanted by only watching the tutorial. That fix doesn't cover everything though. If you've ever felt like it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, like you fix something and it quietly breaks again 3 weeks later, that's not random and it's not you being weak. I already broke down the actual reason in my last video, the one about what's really been holding your life in place. Go watch that one next.